People always ask me, could you ever imagine that Museum Hack would be what it is today? Hell no.
With millennial museum attendance declining, you'd have to be a little crazy to start a business in the museum industry.
Art museums are typically super boring. We're taught, be quiet in a museum. It's this place of solemn and reflection. And I said, why is it like that? Why can't we make this more fun and more accessible? Museum! And that's why I started Museum Hack, to try to bring my friends and other young people into museum spaces.
Museum Hack is a company that gives unconventional tours inside some of the world's most prominent museums. When their greatest competitor was a free museum tour
that the museums are already giving by art history geniuses.
The unlikely odds that Museum Hack could succeed can teach an important lesson to aspiring entrepreneurs.
If you can bring an outsider perspective to an industry, people actually love that. I think that truly helped create what turned into a multi-million-dollar business.
You just started your dream business. How much profit would you need to pay your basic living expenses like rent and ramen? This is a show on the economics of entrepreneurship and founders turning their dreams into reality. This is Ramen Profitable.
Good morning. I'm walking to the museum. Let's see if I can move around here.
Meet Nick Gray. It's 2013, and he's about to quit his full-time job to build Museum Hack. He has no investors, no profits, just some savings, and a newfound passion for museums.
Museum Hack got started, this woman, she took me on a romantic date to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And basically what was special was she talked to me about the art at my level. And that night really unlocked for me this sense of curiosity about art and history and museums that I never knew that I had. Hello and welcome to my tour of the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Some of my friends are here behind me. I started to give tours of my own for my friends, for fun, just for free. My tours were basically 3 cool things I found and 5 things I wanted to steal. And I did that for about a year or 2. I just became obsessed with bringing new people to this museum.
Nick was getting really good at giving these unconventional tours, and people were beginning to notice.
Nick, thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate it.
One day, a really popular blog wrote about us. And literally overnight, over 1,300 people emailed me wanting to join one of my tours. It was absolutely crazy, but I also knew at that moment that this was bigger than me. That's kind of when everything changed. For so long, I had done this simply out of love and passion. It truly was a passion project. I was overwhelmed, I was anxious. I literally lost sleep for several nights in a row thinking about charging tours, that I would be held responsible. Would people think it was worth it? I really struggled with the idea of turning this into a business.
Eventually, Nick got the courage to charge money for the first time. Well, sort of.
The first time that I gave a paid tour, I had so much fun doing the tour that at the end of the tour, I gave everybody their money back. And people were so weirded out by it, like they thought it was some scam. That was the first time that I ever charged for the tour, but not the first time I took money, I guess.
The ice was broken, and in 2013, Nick jumped into Museum Hack full-time.
Leaving my job to start this, it was scary. We were literally operating hand to mouth. Every weekend, we're like counting our tips to see what we can tip out.
The early struggles gave Nick motivation to tap into new revenue sources where they could charge more money per ticket, like private tours.
Oh my God, we did so many wedding proposal tours during the early days. I could lead tours for 10 or 20 people every weekend, no problem. But how does that scale up to 20,000 people a year? And that's our tour guides. These are the stand-up comedians, Broadway actors, and science teachers who really are the heart and soul of our company.
Because museums are busiest on the weekends, Nick wasn't able to offer his tour guides full-time employment. Their regular tours just weren't generating enough revenue to keep them staffed.
Take a $59 museum tour. Those regular museum tours, they basically paid our costs. They weren't gonna grow us to that next phase to hire full-time museum tour guides. Because of that, we knew we needed to grow to something bigger, and that for us was business-to-business sales.
This meant doing corporate tours during the weekday.
We could wrap in an element of leadership that would help in the business environment. And now our $59 museum tour is now $159. And now instead of selling 10 tickets, we can sell 50 tickets.
By 2018, Museum Hack's annual revenue grew to $2.8 million. They had a successful business model. And then Nick saw a unique opportunity to grow the company even further.
When a business goes through life cycles, it needs different things from different people. And it's not always a guarantee that you as the founder are gonna have or can develop the skills needed for what the business needs. You know, I'm good at starting things, but my skills were not in large management.
And so Nick appointed Tasia Dusky to be CEO.
She had those skills to take the company to the next level.
Nick, you will not believe it. We just had 109 employees. Like, we have grown so much over the last couple of years.
That's insane.
I never thought that I would be able to build a multi-million-dollar business out of a hobby. I love being a tour guide, and then I started to love running and growing a business. To do that and to help more people reach museums was probably a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Entrepreneurs are inherently dissatisfied with the way that the world works. We're creating new things because we want to see those things in the world. Nothing is too crazy these days, and in fact, the crazier the better sometimes. If I can create a multi-million-dollar business out of renegade museum tours, you can probably create a company based on one of your wildest ideas.
Were you ever kicked out of a museum?
In all my years of giving tours, I will respectfully say no comment to that.